Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a slimline card featuring the newly released Giraffe Momma and Baby by Whimsy Stamps. Now today is release day over on the Whimsy Stamps website, and this is one of the several new stamps that are being released, as well as some fun dies. I will have a link for you to their shop and the new release items linked down below. For my card today, I'm going to be using my Mijello Mission Gold watercolor palette. I got this set for my birthday a few months ago, and I just haven't gotten into it other than swatching the colors. So I'm going to be using that as well as my favorite Arches watercolor paper. For this background, I'm going to paint one color into the next in a gradiated wash to create a sunset for my images. This is really a simple technique to create a stunning end result. I have my watercolor paper taped down to the board to minimize any warping of the paper, and I'll begin by swiping some clean water on to the section of the paper, and then I start bringing in with this bright pink. And I'm just really swiping across back and forth to create that wash. I come in with the second color after I add some clean water to the paper. And then I am taking some effort here to blend the line where the two colors meet. And really, there is no wrong or right way to do this. But the look I was going for was a smooth background from one color to the next, so I am working with some effort to smooth out those transition lines. I've added my orange to the background, and then I am going to finally come in with a little bit of yellow at the bottom to brighten out this scene. So at this point, my background is not very bright, which is something that I am going for, and in order to intensify the color, I'm going to repeat the layering of the same colors. I did go ahead and dry this first layer, not completely, but enough to leave the paper slightly damp. And then I can come in with the same set of colors. This time, however, I'm not adding any water to the background, with the exception on what is on my brush. And then I just go back and forth across the panel, adding in more color to intensify the background. I also wanted to create a little hill. So again, I'm just taking some greens and swiping across the panel back and forth to create some depth between the colors, and then I will set these aside to completely air dry before I start working with them again. I do bring in a darker shade of green at the bottom and some yellows towards the top to brighten up the top of the hill. So while those panels are drying, I'm going to do the coloring of my giraffes. And for these, I decided to just use my Copic markers and color them in. I will have a list of all of the markers that I used over on my blog, which I will link to down below in case you're interested in checking that out. I did speed this up about 4 times its normal speed. And I'm just going to start by adding some small shadows to one side of the giraffe to create some depth. I did color the baby giraffe slightly lighter than the mama, and I am using the same combination except I am omitting the darkest shade. Since the coloring is so repetitive, I'll go ahead and skip around, but the legs are colored exactly the same way as the neck and the body. And then I can go ahead and color up the Mama Giraffe's head. Again, I am using the same color combinations, and I'm just creating some shadows around the eyes, behind the snout, and I'm just adding some shading to the snout itself using the last two color markers. And then I can come in and do the spots on this giraffe. I'm using some E-markers to do that. I do, after I lay this first layer down, come in with a darker shade of E37 to darken those spots up. I felt it was just getting lost in the body of the giraffe, so I do come in and darken those up. For his little horns, or ossicones as they are properly called, and yes, I did Google it, I'm taking some of my darker markers and I'm doing a technique called Scumbling. And really what Scumbling is, it creates texture by making lots of random squiggly marks to build up shadow areas. And then I will finish off the images by adding a couple of highlight details with my white gel pen and use my scan and cut to cut the images out. I always run my watercolor backgrounds after they have dried through my laminating machine, and this just helps to remove any warping that could have occurred while I was coloring. I die cut several elements from the Build an Island die set, and here I'm just cutting off the extra piece to create this hill. I die cut a piece of black cardstock using the Slimline Postage die by Whimsy stamps, and then once I pop out those inner pieces, I can go ahead and trim up my background panel to fit the frame using my paper trimmer. Now, the sensible thing would have been to, measure the die and cut the panel accordingly, but just winging it seems to be much more fun. Anyway, I'll go ahead and create my sentiment, and for my sentiment, I'm using a stamp from the Giraffe Smiles, which reads, "I will always look up to you." I'm stamping out the sentiment onto a piece of black cardstock, and then I will heat set that in place using white embossing powder. Once I melt that powder, I use a sentiment strip by Avery L to die cut that out, and then I can start putting my card together. I have the frame popped up on some foam strips, which are great for getting onto those thin strips of cardstock. And then I can adhere the little hill to the background. I'm just using some liquid adhesive to adhere that. And then I can just trim up what's hanging over the sides using my scissors, and then I'm ready to pop my frame on. I found it easier to just turn the frame over and add my background to the back. And then once this panel is down, it's down, because those are some really strong foam strips. I have a white card base cut down to 6.5 by 8.5, scored at 3 1/4, which is just slightly larger than the background panel itself. And then I can go ahead and adhere that using some liquid adhesive. And then I'm ready to add in all the rest of my elements. I do have all of the images popped up on some foam squares or foam strips. And then I can start adding those in place to finish off this card. I have linked the Whimsy Stamps website down below where you can see the entire new release. As always, I will have a link to my blog where you can see some close-up images as well as the color combinations that I used to color in the giraffes. Don't forget to leave a like and comment down below if you've enjoyed my content, and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you're notified next time I upload. Thank you for spending a little time with me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.